Hello to each one of you. We are so filled with appreciation for you being here this Sunday. Today, we will discuss a little bit of the past and a little bit of the future, and we will intermingle it with reminders of what we believe and what we hope to be. Our lead in prayer this morning is a meditative prayer in nature. As is true of all of our opening prayers, we begin with gratitude. We're thankful today for community. Everyone with spirit within them makes our center what it is today. Inside this community where we learn to live our belief in the one God and one life, we come together as one family. Take a moment right now to be grateful, to be grateful for spiritual family. Now take a moment to reflect on what our teachings do to enhance your life. Be grateful for the compassion they teach, the comfort and healing you derive from them, and the hope for tomorrow that they instill. And finally, take a few moments to wrap everyone who attends our service, your spiritual leadership, and yourself in loving kindness, supportive dreams and ideas, in freedom and in radical peace. From deep within the gratitude we just employed and enjoyed, I release our kind and powerful words and our positive and creative thoughts into a law that we know only says yes. And so it is. Good morning. Welcome to the Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. I am Pat Ferguson, your spiritual leader, your spiritual director for 2022. And today we have a special service. The order of service has been rearranged a bit. And I mention this only because I didn't want you to think we'd overlooked anything. So we're going to be calling it the annual meeting to review 2021, but we hope you won't find it stuffy, as we've tried to include some refresher type items and a really fun song for you to enjoy. So informative doesn't have to mean dull, especially with a happy group like ours. So again, welcome. The guide candle over my shoulder sends you light and love every week as we remind you that everyone is welcome here. No matter what your past religious practice was, or even, excuse me, if this is your first spiritual experience, you are welcome here. And that's the most important thing for you to remember. Join me in saying our mission and vision statement, please. To teach personal transformation as a virtual community, living the principles of science of mind, and celebrating all paths to God. In our vision statement, a world that honors and respects all people. Our practitioner of the week is Miss Vicki Jeter, and we are happy to be alive and living a joyful life. Vicki?
And I am happy to take up this torch. I personally want to say just thank you, thank you, thank you to each and every person who's here today to help us to embellish our annual meeting and celebrate who we are and how we've been and what plans we have moving forward. So pursuant to that, this is a very special reading this morning. I'm going to be reading What We Believe, the original treatise written by Ernest Holmes when people would ask him, you know, well, what is science of mind? What do you believe? And so Ernest Holmes wrote the first part of this, and then the second part, and I will clearly identify the shift, is an updated vision that we have that comes as a structure for what we believe moving forward, that was done by our current international spiritual director, Dr. Edward Vion. And any of you who were not available to the week that we had where we showed the talk that he did in January on behalf of the convention, just let us know about that, because it is at the end of that talk that he gave this declaration of principles updated. And we would like for everyone to have the opportunity to experience his partaking of that. And so take a breath with me. What we believe. We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. We believe in the incarnation of divine spirit in us, and that all people are incarnations of the one spirit. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul, forever and ever expanding. We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree we become conscious of it. We believe in the ultimate goal of all life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through the intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. We believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thoughts and feelings and acts upon it. We believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this mind. We believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. We believe in our own soul, our own spirit, and our own destiny, for we understand that our life is God. Now, shifting over to our global vision for Centers for Spiritual Living moving forward as of January 2022. Dr. Edward Vion said, "We envision all people, all beings, all life as expressions of God. We see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connecting with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought and feeling. A world where each and every person discovers their own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life, a world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social consciousness in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness around the world. We envision a world where each and every person has enough food, a home, a sense of belonging, a world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement and justice. We envision a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there is generous, continuous sharing of resources. We envision worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or debts, is the norm. We envision a world which has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love through the resurgence of creativity, art, and aesthetics. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. And so we let it be, and so it is. And now we want to go ahead and do prosperity early this morning because that's part of our structure for the day. First, let me just say thank you to everyone here, everyone listening, everyone connected to our community. We appreciate your talents, times, and treasures. And I know Pat blesses every single one of them that she receives. And the prosperity affirmation is, I am free to believe that prosperity is mine. Yes. So if you all would say that with me, I am free to believe that prosperity is mine. And the ways that you can give, as usual, are found in the chat. And if anybody has any questions or trouble with that, just let us know, and I will turn this over to Miss Pat for the blessing.
My pleasure. One God, one life, one supply. Thank you for being the light from within that halos our talents, time, and treasures and causes us to understand that the flow of all three from us is the same flow that circles back to us multiplied. We are grateful to be blessed in such ways, both as a sinner and individually. Blessing the gift and the giver, I offer these words to the law that only says yes, and I release them there to become evident. And so it is.
And so it is. And now for our announcements this week. First, we have upcoming on May 25th is our board meeting for May at 5 p.m. on this very same Zoom link. Everyone is welcome. We so much encourage your presence. If you are so inspired, we would love to hear from you. We'd love to know that you're understanding how we work and where we're going. And so all of this is about that. And this is a little interesting. It's kind of like looking in the mirror. Next week, next Sunday, I will be speaking. It is my pleasure. We're going to be looking at anger and sadness. As you know, the month of May has been about emotions. And so we would have had a full week on anger and then next week on sadness. But when we looked at that, we said, you know what? Those are so closely connected anyway that we can easily roll those into one week. And I hope you will come and join us for that, because getting the full spectrum of our emotions is really going to be a good thing.
Yes, indeed.
And so our next upcoming class opportunity is with Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings. It's a 10-week course on the book that he compiled for Centers for Spiritual Living on Ernest Holmes. It's called The Essential Ernest Holmes. Some of you may have taken this class, but if you have, never mind that, because learning about the Essential Ernest Holmes from Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings is like a whole new world. So if you'd like to take a class and you'd like to look into this, we are letting you know about it a little early. It starts in July. It's going to run from July 7th to September the 8th at 7:30 in the evening if you want to do that one. He's actually doing 2 of these in a row at the same time, different times of day. So it's either Thursdays in the evening, and these times are Eastern time, and then or you can do Fridays starting on the 8th of July from noon to 2:30. And so just let us know if you have any questions at all. We'd be happy to help you get connected up with that.
Yes, we would.
And of course, the cherry on top every week, you are magnificent.
Yes, you are. Okay. Special music. In fact, our only music today is really special, and you're going to feel so good when you watch this. Pharrell Williams with the Minions.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go, bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high, bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high, bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you too high to bring me down. Can't nothing bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
Ba 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 na na. Ba 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 na 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 na. Ba 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 na na.
Okay, you just have to be happy after that, and you have to feel like a room without a roof. Possibilities are endless. The sky's the limit. So, welcome to this portion of our service today. This is the review for 2021 from your Board of Trustees at the Louisville Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter. And next slide, Vernon. First thing we're going to do is introduce you to those trustees. And we'll start with yours truly. Pat Ferguson is President and Treasurer and your Spiritual Director. Vicki Jeter is our Vice President. Just this year, Joan Durbin joined us and is our Secretary. And our two members at large, Doug Iveson and Bev Inger. And this is a group that works extremely hard. It's amazing what even a small center, the work that is done. And so we appreciate every person. And we take this time to thank everyone who worked so hard in 2021. You'll see a lot of the same faces, but these people from our leadership team, our practitioners, our tech support, all did a fantastic job. And I know that you, as well as I, appreciate them. Reverend Rick, myself, Vicki, Tammy Sevenfield, Vernon, and Tammy Ellis down there. I didn't have a picture of Tammy, but isn't she cute? Okay. This little slide is just a monthly attendance thing, so we can show you that in 2021, we had a total of 1,225 people. And that's a weekly average of 23.5, and a little half a person there, but you get the idea. And this year, from January to May, we're holding steady with that average. So we're very pleased about that. Okay. We have added some things. We added some things in 2021 when Reverend Rick was here, and we've continued them in 2022 and added a little more. We wanted to just kind of remind you of the progress that we have made. We added last year the first Wednesday spiritual connection on the first Wednesday of each month. Reverend Rick started that, and Vicki continues that this year. We've always had sharing, but we kind of expanded that during 2021. We've offered classes from other centers and from CSL home office, so that's a little bit of a change, and it's been a blessing, we think. And last year we had a really nice new member class, and we would like to have one this year if there's an interest. So if you would be interested in coming to that and learning a little more, please let one of your board members know, and we will put that together. We'd like to do it, but we didn't want to force it on anyone. So just just let us know. Other possibilities that come up, we're thinking of maybe a New Thought Thursday with guest speakers on just very informal topics, but topics maybe that interest everybody. Some workshops, book studies, other classes such as that. And we want to hear what you kind of would like to see. So be sure and mention that. We have an average, well, we have about 42 active people, and this figure basically comes from the people who support us financially. They don't all come every week, but they are supporting us, so we consider them active to our communities. And that includes 3 countries, and I noticed Sonia was here, so you are part of that, and we thank you. And it's anywhere from 7 to 10 states. Today we have 6 states present, unless somebody's popped on that I haven't seen yet. So we're very proud of that. Vicki also does women's circles, and she does the Saturday morning call, and that brings people in indirectly, but they are also connected to our center and know about our center because of her efforts. And we're thinking about doing something either on a Wednesday night or maybe even on Sunday, who knows, just to let you know about that Saturday call, because it's quite rich and people do enjoy it. And a few people are already doing it from center, and then many from the outside. So that's what we're doing to grow, and we love to do even more. Okay. I wanted to remind you, we mentioned this last year, but I wanted to remind you in case you've forgotten or maybe didn't hear this message, we have a dedicated CSL phone number. So if you have a prayer request, you can call this number and leave a message, and one of the practitioners will get back with you. You can leave other messages there as well, and if it's for something that has to do with something other than prayer, the appropriate person will get back with you. But don't forget that number. It's always at the bottom of your constant contact update, and just know that it's there if you need to leave us a message for any reason. Okay, here we go into the numbers. All right, we're going to start our budget review with income. Last year in 2021, we had total income of $43,673. And you can see from this slide that the majority of that came from Sunday offerings and donations. We had a little money in a Fidelity savings account, and we transferred that. It says to checking. We put it in checking originally, but it has been moved to a Chase Bank savings account now. And we do all of our banking with Chase now, so we don't have things kind of spread out here and there. And our fundraising, the Kroger Community Rewards and Amazon Smile brought us in $151. And classes and workshops brought us in another $2,490 for that total of $43,673. Okay, next slide. And this one, total expenses were $34,551. You'll see at the top our contractors' compensation, and all of us who work for the center are considered contractors. We issue 1099s for their support. That first figure of $10,254 is myself and Vernon for the year. And that's the total for the two of us. We tried a center manager position for a while and changed that, so we only did that for 4 months, and that was $1,600. And then Reverend Rick 12 months as spiritual director was $11,584, and that includes the $1,000 bonus we gave him when he left in December. Outside speakers were 1,100, and our directors and officers insurance 942. Under operations is just about everything else. You can see all those different things in that first group, and there's even a few more that are little hits here and there that we get. I couldn't list every single thing, but they came to $2,864. Instructors' fees and supplies such as printouts and things like that, but $1,584. And charitable giving, we tithe as well. And while 10% is a standard number, it's not a magic number in any way, but we do always, every month, do 10%. 5% of it goes to a local charity, and 5% of it goes to CSL home office. And that's for the support that they give us. They have great expenses as well, so we support them. There's a little bit of difference there because the charitable giving, we had set aside the same amount, the $5,558 for 5% local, but at the time, at the end of December, we had not distributed part of it, and then we did that in January. So that's why it looks like a difference there. That brings us, when we subtract these expenses from our income, that brings us to a net gain for the year of $9,122. I have just a couple words to say about that. Last year at the meeting that Reverend Rick had about 2020, our net gains were $4,997 for 2020. And we were delighted that we had taken the necessary steps to bring that number to be a positive, because in the 5 years prior to that, we had a cumulative loss of $18,977. So in comparison, a gain of $5,000 was a very good thing. But then immediately after that meeting, our service donations dropped considerably for 2 months. And me as treasurer, I guess I can only speak for myself, but I got a little nervous, and maybe we all did just a tad. So when we tell you that in 2021, we ended with 9,122, we say that very proudly, but we also want you to know a story, the whole story that's behind that, because we didn't realize how important it was to tell this whole story. That $9,122 that you see in net gain is a kind of money, is a number with split personality, sort of. We're very proud, indeed we are, but it has a bit of a challenging side. Since sustaining a major loss in 2018 and seeing our bank account drop to less than $500, we have been paying our staff less than half of part-time pay for full-time work. In 2019, if we didn't have a net monthly gain, we didn't get paid at all. And if there was a small net gain, we divided that up amongst us. Last year, the paid staff was Reverend Rick as spiritual director, Vernon as tax support, and myself as treasurer, bookkeeper, and office administration. The board has known we have to do better. And when I recently began working with my minister mentor, Reverend Julie Lobato from home office, she went over our quarterly financial reports as a new teaching chapter. One of the first things that she wanted to talk about was our staff compensation. She looked at it and asked several questions, and she thinks we might have a little bit of fear around money. And honestly, I couldn't very well deny that. For myself, at least, I would agree that it seems that we sometimes have made a few decisions that look like that. But long story short, the board will be meeting with Reverend Julie soon to discuss some changes. So when you look at that net gains figure of $9,122, please thank Spirit as we thank each of you for keeping us together up until now. And we know that it will be well into the future as well. Vernon. All righty. Now, this is where we're going to make some general comments on the state of the center. And I'm going to start. And I'll just start this way. Sometime around September 2021, Reverend Rick began considering the renewal of his contract. And then his mom became seriously ill. Excuse me for clearing my throat so much. And that sort of sealed the deal. And he decided not to renew. Vicki was well into her ministerial classes, and the board researched the idea of having her lead us as she was still taking her classes. As an established practitioner, she could do that, and we would not have to give up our designation as a center. We would only have to drop back to a teaching chapter. That's the title that CSL Home Office assigns those centers that don't currently have a licensed minister. The board understood that this would be a huge job for somebody with an established practitioner and coaching practice and still in ministerial school. And Vicki understood that as well. And after much deliberation, she determined that it wasn't the right course of action for her at that time. My thought was that we would just drop back to a study group, losing our privileges as a center until we found someone to replace Reverend Rick. Never in my wildest dreams did I think they would ask me, and never in my wildest dreams did I hear myself saying yes if they did ask. But that's exactly what happened. And the next thing I know, I'm lining up speakers and reading home office outlines and attending home office Zoom meetings and introducing myself as your spiritual director. I've been doing this since January 2nd, and I am still scared to death every Sunday. Even uneasy today as my role leading this meeting. I do not want to fail you in any way. I have no ministerial classes and no training other than corporate accounting and my practitioner studies to back me up here. I don't even think of myself as being spiritual director material or being holy enough even. I don't know the first thing about what a spiritual director does. The only thing I knew for sure was that I loved the center and I wanted it to stay active and be here for people. And I believed in myself just enough to trust that I could do it for a year to 15 months to keep the heartbeat of this center going. So fast forward today, and here I am doing my best to provide you with information, knowing that information is power, and fully understanding just how much we need your strength as we move into the remainder of the year and into the years ahead as a vital and thriving member of a larger center for spiritual living. It is the board's position that going forward, we will stay a virtual center. We have not planned in any way to go back to in-person services. And even in the distant future, if the powers that be decide our local growth could sustain that, we would likely continue to have a virtual presence as well. As I mentioned before, we want and need a trained and licensed minister on staff to lead and guide us, and we will talk to Vicki when she's completed her studies to see where she and the board land on how that might look. But right now, I think it's most important for you to hear from Vicki how she's doing, how she's going to proceed into the rest of the year, and what she expects to be doing in the future. Vicki?
Thank you so much, Pat. And let me just take this opportunity of transition to say, out of humility, Pat will tell you that she doesn't know anything about being a spiritual director. And in, black and white social terms, that might be the case. However, the proof is in the pudding. So yay, Pat, who actually does a wonderful job as a spiritual director. It is my pleasure to have this opportunity to just tell you all where I'm at with my ministerial training and what that looks like going forward. I feel very confident in the synchronicities that have been happening and the things that I've been learning. My first dedication is to keep my finger on the heartbeat of the center, which has been true from the very beginning, has never changed. I don't plan on that changing. And to bring forward everything I'm learning as much as I can to share with you all. Ministerial training is fabulous. And just to give you the update, so we're still coming on the very end of what is called the spring semester. At the start of the spring semester, I had 5 classes to go. So as the spring semester closes, I have 3 left. I've already signed up for the summer classes, and that's 2. And once I get through my summer classes, I have 1 class to go out of 29. Can you all imagine? 29 classes has gone by so fast. And then my last class will be in the fall, and that's going to be Thomas Troward, which is actually considered an elective, but they said that it's so rich that you actually don't want to take anything but Troward. So I'll be taking that in the fall, and of course, passing along as much of that as I can along the way. You have to do what's called capstones, which are comprehensive finals. And I've already done my comprehensive finals for the ecclesiastical side of the studies. There's 2 branches to this. And one is the ecclesiastical side. It's called the School of Spiritual Leadership. And I'm through all those classes. And I took those capstones. I don't yet know. I haven't gotten the results yet. It's quite a process to get those results. But yeah. So what will happen is I have to finish these Holmes Institute classes. And then actually in the fall, because that last class is an elective, the Troward class, during the time I'm taking that final class, I will also be taking my Holmes capstones. And so all of my studies will be done by the fall. And then there's these other things you have to do that they do with special timing, and that's not going to happen. The final, crossing the T's and dotting the I's of all of this, which includes my oral panels, is not going to happen until March of 2023. But it's okay, because everybody's aware that this is just a process that will unfold. And so I'm very excited. I'm very excited for how we move forward. I'm very excited to come together with the board and see how we juggle our options and what's going to be best for the center. And just stay in touch with us and hang on for the ride, because it's going to be fun. And I'm complete.
Thank you, Vicki. We don't know what Vicki will decide when she's out of ministerial school. We can't be presumptuous, but I can tell you that there's no one on a screen here this morning who has put more time and work into keeping this center going over its ups and downs and trials and tribulations since its conception than she has. And for that, we thank her.
can I say just one more thing? Just
You sure
about that?
can.
So because we're trusting spirit, there aren't any presumptions being made. However, I will tell you that provided that people can meet in the middle, I'm up for that discussion. So I don't want anybody to think that I have any plan of dedicating myself to another center someplace. That would not be the case. And so it will be interesting to see what the board says and what I ultimately say, but I want everybody to know that I am conviction that this is my spiritual home, and we shall see how that meets in the middle.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Okay. Bev Inger asked if she could speak to the information I relayed a little earlier about our 9,122 net gains. She has felt very passionate around the compensation issue and has held steady in her conviction around that topic for some time. So I'm anxious to hear what Bev has also. Bev?
Thank you, Pat. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak briefly to what I care about today. And it has to do with the reimbursement of our staff that have been working for such a long time, making less than half of what they deserve. Less than half of a full-time position. And I believe that they work time and a half, particularly Pat, as I've worked with her on the board. When she communicated that we had last year $9,122, the words I repeated inside my head cannot be said within our spiritual community at this point in time, but I want you to know that I was thinking, where have you been, Beverly Inger? This is really important that we move forward and do something about paying our staff what they should be receiving. So I said, I want to talk, and I want the opportunity to share that with you who are here today because you're interested in those things as well as your ongoing support for our community. I think we've known for quite some time that we needed to do something about this, but that would have meant going into our savings, for goodness sakes. Every month, we might have had wound up with a net loss. Wouldn't that be awful? And I moved from there to, what kind of thinking is this we're doing? Is this scarcity thinking, or is this abundance thinking? And I fell on the side that I didn't really want to look at. But we need to. We need to as a board, we need to as individuals, think about where we are on this spectrum and move forward together. I think we're going to be doing that as we meet with Reverend Lobato, and she begins to talk with us again, and that we'll be bringing those decisions back to you. Do know that we need your help. We need your prayers for us, that you hold us in your consciousness as we move forward, that you hold us in the knowing this, that we are talking about the universe, the universal mind, and that God is indeed our provider. Limitless opportunities are there for us. And we're going to be looking at that and moving forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Bev. Well, now you've seen things you can't unsee and heard things you can't unhear. And this is where I, as spiritual director, come to you completely from my heart and say thank you for your support and your kindness, for your love and attention to the center and to me. And here is where I ask you, please think about your talents that you might have that could help us out. Work with us if you can find a way to do that. Maybe you know how to do constant contact that could help with that, or maybe you could serve on the board. Maybe you could assist in another way that we haven't even thought of. Those of us who put in a lot of years and a lot of long hours could surely use a little relief. And maybe there's a paid position that hasn't even been thought of yet. Maybe you would just like to volunteer to be a reader or do a guided meditation on a Sunday. That would be wonderful too. But please think about it and don't hesitate to reach out of one of those board members that we introduced to you earlier. They will be delighted to pass that message along. Please believe that. And don't forget to reach out to any one of us to tell us if there's something you wished we were doing that we're not doing, or a way we might do something differently. Let us know how to serve you and help us grow. If you have like-minded friends, please invite them. While we intend to remain virtual into the future, it doesn't mean we can't grow bigger and grow better. And think about it. Who wouldn't want to have more friends like us? Because you know what I always say, we are the change we want to see in the world. In closing this portion of our service, let me take a couple of seconds to tell you about the larger CSL organization. CSL had their annual meeting in January in Southern California, and I got to attend virtually. Thank you, Zoom. And here are a few numbers that I gathered from their meeting, their business meeting. There are over 400 CSL centers worldwide. We have 754 active ministers and 58 retired or semi-retired ministers. And there are approximately 2,700 licensed practitioners. The Louisville Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter is one of those 400 centers, and it's one of the most special of those 400 centers. Why? Because of you. Because of you. Because of me, because of Vicki, because of Cassie and Paula and Joan and Maruk and Reverend Alma and Tasha and Kristen. I just can't name all the people. Doug and Gordon, everybody you see here. Sonia, way out there in Barbados. You are the reason this center is so special, because those of us who do the daily and weekly work of preparing the things that go out from this center, we could do that work. But without you, there would be no reason for it. Without you, there would be an incredibly deep void and emptiness. You, linked to the person next to you and the person next to them, are the solid foundation on which we build this center. And it's a strong base, but there's no reason that it can't be even stronger. And that's why it was so important for me and your board and your practitioners to let you know that all of us together have really worked to have services without lapses of any kind. And that's what we want for you in the future. Now, speaking to you, our members, and speaking to the board, our practitioners, and our tech support guru, I acknowledge to you that this job of spiritual director is not easy, and it's rather time consuming. But it's especially not easy and especially time consuming for someone like me who has little or no training. But as I told you before, I love the center. So when I introduce myself to you each Sunday as your practitioner spiritual director for 2022, I do that without knowing for certain if I can hold up under the weight of it all. But I promise you, I'm going to do my darndest. And with your prayers for highest and best, it will get easier and easier. We truly are the happiest group of people you'll ever want to meet, as I tell people all the time. And we are the change we want to see in the world. So there's a reason we shine so brightly. Please know with me that we are headed onward and upward to more and greater things for each of us, individually and collectively, as we finish out 2022. Namaste and thank you. We'll get this on the recording. All right. We talked about community a lot because that's what we are here. A big family, a big community. And there is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. And I think we're all on the same page with that. So, ending this service as we began, for the collective, I declare our gratitude for the entity that is CSL and LCSL, its members, every single one of you, our leadership, practitioners, tech support, and the greater CSL organization that supports us from Golden, Colorado. We're thankful that we have a community of like-minded people to share our lives with, to spread peace and love with, to grow and awaken with. Thank you is our phrase of choice. Its simplicity is eloquent in expressing how we feel. Its power real and substantial in creating more good in our lives. We close by again offering these words into a law that works the same for everyone, automatically and impartially. And there, to be worked into form and reality, we release them. And so it is. Goodbye, all you gorgeous creatures.